What does the Bible mean when it says, judge not? One of the most quoted pieces of Scripture is Jesus' words when he tells us, judge not that ye be judged. Go with me to Matthew 7:1. Matthew 7:1. In this short verse, it says, judge not that ye be judged, that ye be not judged. And a lot of people quote this. Like I said, this is one of the most quoted pieces of Scripture. It comes right after John 3:16. But like that verse, it is misquoted. It's giving an example of poor context and not enough reading. It has become common for people, Christians and non-Christians alike, to try to silence their critics when they say, if you're a Christian, you can't judge me. Atheists will tell Christians this whenever Christians will try to judge them. Christians have even used this verse to tell other Christians, hey, look, you're a Christian, we're Christians, so let's just not judge each other. And I'm sure that we've all encountered this. We've all had someone tell us this. I heard someone say that she identified as a Christian, and she said that abortion was okay. She said, if you're a Christian, you won't have an abortion. And she said, if you're a Christian, you won't judge me. Well, and people take the first words out of that passage, Matthew 7:1, judge not. That's all they take out of it. Say, Jesus clearly said, judge not. It's clear that Jesus has made it a sin to judge others. But this is quite false. It's a logical fallacy, nonetheless, and it's poor context, and they don't read enough, because if you just go straight down, you can find it. Now, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why it's false. Number 1, if you stay right there in chapter 7, just a few verses down, there in verse 6, it says, give not which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn again and rend you. Jesus commands us to watch out for the false prophets in verse 15 and 16. Now, without judging others, how can we discern the pigs, the dogs, and the false prophets?
Right.
Without judging, you can't do that. And number 2, in John, the book of John, 7, verse 24. Verse 24, it says, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Right here, in this verse, we are told to judge. We're given an example of wrongful judgment, but we're told to judge. Now, Jesus makes it clear that there is a wrong type of judgment, which I'll get into later. But the question arises now, is Matthew 7:1 contradiction of the Bible? Because these other verses make it clear that judging is not wrong, but the first verse doesn't. And the answer is no. It's not a contradiction. Take a look here back at our original text. In the same sentence, Jesus states that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considers not the beam that is in thine own eye. That's verses 1 through 3. And this passage isn't telling us not to judge, it's telling us how to judge. And Jesus isn't instructing us not to judge, he's telling us the wrong ways to judge. He's telling us how to. He's preparing us how to judge. And remember that the English Bible you have here, they were made by gathering several scrolls and writings that were not in a verse-by-verse program. So remember, everything here was just written in the same sentence. And it's really, if you just read just a little bit more, you'll see.
That's right.
And Stuart Weber gives an excellent conclusion of what this passage really means. He says, quote, "Do not judge others until you are prepared to be judged by the same standard.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when you exercise judgment towards others, do it with humility." That pretty much gives a sum of what Jesus is trying to say here. And number 4. So the fourth reason why it's wrong is if you go to Mark chapter 16. Mark 16, verses 18 through 19, it says, "They shall take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover." So then the Lord had spoken unto them. He was received up into heaven and sat on the right hand of God. So that's not the right verse I was looking for. Anyways, I don't remember where it's at, but somewhere in there, it gives us an example of John the Baptist judging Herodias when he pointed out her adultery with Herod. And I guess I missed the reference here, but there is a passage here where it talks about John the Baptist judging Herodias whenever she had adultery with Herod. And number 5. There's a book in the Bible, if you go to your index, where it shows all the books of the Bible, near the Old Testament, there's a book titled Judges. There's literally a book titled Judges. And in Judges 2:18, we're told the judges were raised by God. Right? And so now, I'm going to give you 5 types of wrongful judgment. Number 1, false judgment. Not only is it a sin to bear false witness in the 10 Commandments, Exodus 10:25, we are told in multiple places in the Bible that it is a sin, like in Proverbs 19, verse 5, or Titus 3:2. So we can then gather it's wrong to judge others on a false account. Whether you know it's a false account or not, it's a sin to judge others if it's false.
Right.
So whether you thought it was true, still a sin. Judge others on a false account. Number 2, unforgiving judgment. in Colossians 3, verse 13, and multiple other passages, we're told to forgive others. In Titus 3:2, we're told to be gentle towards everyone. And even in Matthew 7, verse 2, we are warned that the same way we judge others, we will be judged that way too. We cannot judge others and then never forgive them for that judgment. So that's the second type of wrongful judgment. Number 3 is hypocritical judgment. When Jesus gave us his rule about judging, his main point warned against hypocrisy. Who are you to judge others about sin while you yourself are committing the same sin? In Romans 2, and verse 1, and through 3, it says, "Therefore thou art inexcusable, O man, whosoever thou art that judgest. For wherein thou judgest another, thou condemnest thyself, for thou that judgest doeth the same things. But we are sure that the judgment of God is according to truth against them which commit such things. And thinkest thou this, O man, what judgeth them which do such things, and doest the same, that thou shalt escape the judgment of God?" So here the Apostle Paul warns against hypocritical judgment. When one is hypocritical, he or she judges others for a sin while they themselves are committing that sin. It is very easy to call out others, but have you called out yourself?
Yeah.
Number 4, there's self-righteous judgment. In Luke 18, with me there, Luke 18, verses 9 through 14. Luke 18, verses 9 through 14 says, "And he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves, that they were righteous and despised others. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee, that I am not other men or extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in the week, I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican standing afar off would not lift up so much as his eyes into heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other, for everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted." So, we have the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. And the Pharisee here is confident that he is right in his ways.
Yeah.
Jesus opposed the proud Pharisee because he was proud. Remember, God opposes the proud, James 4:6. And finally, the last type of wrong judgment is superficial judgment. That may be a large word, but superficial judgment is passing judgments based solely on appearances and reputations. As already shown in John 7, verse 24, we're told that judging on appearances is a sin. That's what Jesus is trying to get out there in John 7:24. In Luke 7:36 through 50, Simon got in trouble for judging a woman based on appearance and reputation. So that's the 5 types of wrongful judgment: superficial judgment, wrongful judgment, self-righteous judgment, critical judgment, and unforgiving judgment. Thank you for your attention this morning. Your presence has been a blessing.